Hello, everybody. This is Craig Bettles. I'm the Director of Data Analytics here at Consonas. And today we're going to go over some new features and functions for Copilot for December 2019. So we have a number of new features that we've added in. We've added a few site enrichments, including Copilot white labeling. If you're interested in that, please contact copilot@consonashealth.com. We also did some bug fixes to the PD3 crosscheck form to make it easier to use that particular form and to make sure that the statuses were updating correctly as you're going through that form. We've also done some data model updates. So we've added value-based purchasing adjustments to our PDPM models. So that means when you go to our PDPM analyzer or our PDPM auditor, you'll see that that value-based purchasing adjustment automatically applied to your rates and your revenue. And there's also a tab there that will show you what your latest value-based purchasing adjustment is. Again, this is based on CMS data. We've also added Q2 of 2019 data for the claims-based reporting. So this is your hospital discharge pattern report and other reporting there. And then lastly, we've done a number of report enhancements. So we've changed the default date ranges in the length of stay report to discharge date. We found that this was going to be more accurate, particularly for long stay patients. So we're going to be using that going forward for length of stay reporting. We've added an addition of payer mix tables on the census report. So what this means is now for additional tabs in the census report, you can actually see your census mix breakdown by payer type or by payer. And we've added an additional rolling 30-day page for the census report. So rather than just showing you month to date, you can also look at a rolling 30 days. That way, if you're at the beginning of the month, you can look at your payer mix for a rolling 30 days. And we've added a new report called the Copilot Partner Report, which I'll show you in a second. So for our function showcase, we've got a new partner report that gives you a wide range of filter options to pull the data for your partner meetings. And this was a highly requested report from our user base. And also we've added some new ICD-10 code visualizations in your PDPM analyzer. And this has been something that's a common question for us. So I'm just going to show you some of those visuals and how to use them. So we're going to jump over to Copilot here on our demo site. So on our demo site here, you can go to Live Data and you can go to Partner Report. And this will give you the partner report that we just launched. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that we're not showing any patient data here on the first page. That is deliberate, so you don't accidentally expose PHI. So what you want to do is make your filter selections here on the left side. And on the right side, we have instructions and some notes about the data. Now, the first thing you'll notice, we've got a wide range of options here for filtering. That gives you a lot of flexibility to kind of pull the data that you need for your partners. One thing I will say is we have some defaults in here around admit location, payer type, episode type, and plan discharge. This is to make sure that you have accurate readmission and ED visit details. And again, for some of you who are on EHRs that don't have ED visits, this will be custom for you so that the ED visits aren't on here. But the majority of EHRs on Copilot do have the ED visits. So let me show you how to use this report here. So let's say that I'm talking to a hospital system. Well, the first thing I want to do is pick my facilities. So in this case, let's say I want to talk to Providence about all my facilities in the Portland area. So I'm going to leave that as all. I'm going to go down here to my admin locations, and I'm going to select my Providence facilities. I want to make sure I'm grabbing all of them. So for this example, I'm assuming that I'm talking at a corporate level, so I'm talking to multiple hospitals within a system. Now, I also could filter down by payer type or payer name here. Now, to get an accurate readmission rate, I'm going to keep managed care and Medicare A as my payer types and keep short stay as my default for the episode type. But if I wanted to change that and they wanted to look at their long stay patients, I can change my payer type and I can change my episodes type to long stay. And now if I even wanted to drill into more detail, let's say I was talking to their cardiology unit at Providence Hospital, I could pick cardiology or cardiac as my top two here, and then that would filter the data even further. But I'm just going to look at all facilities, all admit locations, and I'm going to keep this broad date range here of 5 years. But you can use the slider to scroll that in if you want. Now in the report, I've got a lot of detail here. A lot of this will look familiar from our other reporting, but the idea is it's all in one spot and you can do the filters ahead of time before the presentation so that you're not accidentally exposing PHI. You can see I can see the admissions by hospital. I've got all my patient details here that I can drill into. I can also right click and drill through to a bunch of different details at the patient level. I can go to my readmission details here, and again, I've got all the patients who readmitted, and I've got more details around when and why they readmitted back to the hospital. Same for my ED visits. I've got my length of stay details here. One thing to note is, unlike our length of stay report, which we've just updated to run on discharge date, the length of stay runs on admit date. So if you're looking at a long stay patient population, you want to make sure that you're selecting a pretty broad date range to make sure that you're getting an accurate average length of stay. I've got more details around diagnosis for readmissions, and then I've got the same look for any patients who went back to the ER. And again, I can look and I can see my frequent flyers right here, and I can right click, get more details on why they readmitted. So this is a great tool to kind of be able to drill into details with your hospital partners. I can also see the top diagnosis groups, the days of the weeks, and the times of day they readmitted. So a lot of very useful items here for working with your partners. And I showed you a hospital example, but you could easily do the same thing for payers or physician groups as well by selecting the primary care physicians. Now next I'm going to go and I'm going to look at my PDPM analyzer here and show you a little bit about using those PDPM ICD-10 codes. So a common question that we get is, I'm not seeing a patient here on this summary page. This summary page shows your daily rate and revenue as it's coded on the MDS. And what that means is it's only showing patients that have a code filled in the primary diagnosis field on the MDS assessment, which is I0020B. So you won't see a patient here if they're an in-progress MDS that doesn't have that filled out. However, you will see those patients here on the patient details. And it looks like I timed out, so I'm going to rerun this again. So again, I've got my patient details. I can grab a patient, and these will show patients who don't have I0020B filled out. And if those patients don't have that field filled out, or if there's a delay in getting that field over to Copilot, you'll just see that all the locations here say from EHR. Now, another common question that we get is, I'm not seeing all my ICD-10 codes here. Now, we're only going to show you ICD-10 codes that have a clinical category on this particular table. So that means you won't see any return to provider codes. And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to give you a manageable list so that you can scroll through and see if there's any ICD-10 codes that you maybe want to consider, if it's clinically appropriate, making your primary diagnosis in I0020B. Another thing we've added in the NTA review, which is a common question, is we've added both an NTA score that's on the MDS and an NTA score that's on the EHR. Now, the reason we've done this is we've got NTA scores based on all of your ICD-10s in the EHR. If there's an ICD-10 in there that could potentially apply to an NTA comorbidity, you want to be able to look and see if you want to code that into the MDS. Now, I can see there's a difference between my averages here, that there's at least one patient that has an ICD-10 code that's not being recorded in the right section for my NTA comorbidities. Now I'm just going to grab a patient here, and I see I've grabbed a patient that does have a different NTA score in the EHR from the NTA score in the MDS. Now, how to use this report here is we've got everything that's being recorded as an NTA comorbidity on the MDS. So I can see I've got 4 points here for asthma and diabetes. If I scroll down, I've got a nutritional approaches while resident feeding tube. So that's 5 out of 6 reports. If I wanted to 5 out of 6 points. If I wanted to capture that 6th point, I can go here to my applicable ICD-10 codes, and you can see I've got all the ICD-10 codes in the description. And again, we're only showing ones that are potentially usable for an NTA comorbidity or for a primary diagnosis. And you can see if there's anything missing, you can go back and code that in. So that's our presentation today on our December features and functions. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions at copilot@consonushealth.com.